The chair now recognizes Mr. McGarvey for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thanks, everyone, for being here today. As you all know, a robust and well-supported transition is critical to preventing our veterans from falling through the cracks. However, I've got to echo the frustrations of my friends and colleagues on the dais here that there's a disconnect in how seriously DoD is taking transition and its implementation. Ms. Orsica, I understand from the GAO report on access to mental health services that you all plan to release the Enterprise Individualized Self-Assessment in 2025. I think what concerns me is that we have not yet addressed the attendance issues that seem to be prevalent within TAP. So according to the GAO's December 2022 analysis of TAP data, nearly a quarter of service members who were required to attend TAP did not do so, and 70% didn't start TAP more than 1 year in advance of their separation as is supposed to happen. That's incredibly concerning. We've heard from veterans on an individual level. Commanders sometimes don't make time for their service members to attend the needed classes. We've also heard on a structural level that there is a pervasive and lingering culture across the DoD that makes TAP a back burner issue. Or worse, they just don't care. That's unacceptable. This must be a partnership. VA can't carry the weight all on its own shoulders. So Ms. Orsica, my question to you is, what steps are you all taking to ensure that every service member attends TAP and that individual commanders and others responsible for service members' time comply with requirements?
Thank you very much, Congressman. So while I'm not responsible for the TAP within my responsibilities, I understand the frustration, and I'm committed to carrying this information and this message back to the departments. Each of the departments are responsible for the TAPs, and what Health Affairs does and what is in my responsibility focus is looking at those policies and working towards the guidance that implements and informs the TAP program. So I'm committed to taking that message back to the department.
Thank you for taking it back. And who is responsible for TAP?
Each military service department is responsible for the execution of the TAP within each of their services.
Because I don't want this to be an example of where everyone can point the finger at somebody else and then no one becomes accountable. So who would be the most accountable to getting our service members to actually do the TAP services?
Important question. Each of the service members that are connected and assigned to each of the service military departments, that's predominantly where the individual TAP counselors are assigned to each of those service members.
And what steps are being taken to ensure that those service members determined to be at risk for a difficult transition actually attend all their required core TAP classes?
Thank you for that question. And while I'm not responsible for TAP and the execution of it, I will take that question for the record.
And to whom will you take that question?
I will take that question back to the department, and we'll take it for the record.
And which department or which person?
Each service department executes the TAP program. So each of those military departments, so if you're in the Navy, if you're in the Army, et cetera, et cetera.
And is there a specific person or office in each one of those departments?
I'll take that information back, and we'll take that for the record.
Right. But when you say you're taking it to the Navy, that's just a big entity for us. Who?
So each of the services, if you look at the commands and down to the individual service members unit, all of those individuals, as they separate, as they retire, they have counselors, and those counselors then meet with those individuals. So we'll have to get those details for you and get that information back to you.
That would be great, because I feel like we all want the same thing, but I don't have an answer to the questions yet. And so this is really important to all of us. Yep. And I would just love to know specifically who you're going to take that information to that is capable of implementing it, because that would help us have some accountability.
Understood.
Thanks so much. And I see I'm short on time. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman.
The gentleman yields back. I now recognize myself for 5 minutes. Ms. Cohen, you said you contacted 14,000 veterans? Is that right? 14,000?